Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield, and joining me today, my friend Tammy Swindle. Tammy is the executive director of the Cancer Association of Greater New Orleans. You may know it as CAGNO. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Terry.
Hey, thanks for making it in
You're
today.
welcome.
You have so many things going on. I am always so enamored of CAGNO, not only because of your mission and what you do, but the size. There is a core group of, you're there, Paula. You've got a couple other volunteers, others that come in. How many total usually?
We have Bill, who does the accounting,
That's
and then
right.
we have
Okay.
Ashley, who is our health educator, and then we have 2 interns from Southeastern.
Woohoo.
And right now we have a gentleman from Amtrak, Enrique. He's working with us.
But you have that many people, which is what, 6 now, 7? I'm losing
6
count.
for now.
6. And yet you cover all these
6, 7.
parishes,
Yeah, 13 parishes.
all the programs.
All the programs.
Do you ever sleep?
Yes, I love my sleep.
I just wasn't sure you ever got any.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you are always busy. I mean, folks, those of you, cancer, it seems, touches everyone we know. And whether it's been a family member, whether it's been yourself, it's a friend, it's a neighbor down the street. And the Cancer Association of Greater New Orleans has been here for you since 1958. They have been the local leader in the fight against cancer. And CAGNO, we're proud to say, not only is it a nonprofit, but it is a United Way of Southeast Louisiana community impact partner. And I know that CAGNO prides itself in protecting and defending the community against cancer. And Tammy, I know one of the big things you do, that's through education, it's through outreach, research, and you do some assistance to those who really, really need the help and can't afford it otherwise.
Our patient services program is our biggest program. That's the one that where the most dollars are spent, and that's just helping patients that can't afford their medication. And most of the time, these are patients that have worked their entire life. They end up with cancer, and even a $15 copay becomes difficult after a while. Sometimes they're making 35 to 40 radiation treatments, and they're traveling back and forth. So we have gas card grants. We'll help with gas cards to get back and forth to treatment. It's just the overwhelming amount of money that people end up spending just out of pocket.
And that's why it's so important to hear about CAGNO and the needs about this program, because you can give through United Way, you can give directly, you can designate when you have your annual campaigns within your workplace. But these are to folks, as you said, hardworking folks.
Hardworking folks.
People have had this. It could happen to you and I, as I said, anybody we know.
Anybody.
In fact, we both know people.
Oh, absolutely. And I used to, when I used to do my presentations for United Way, I'd say, you're helping your neighbor, you're helping people down the street. And I got to do that last week. I was actually a little gentleman in Ponchatoula needed a voice box, one of the electric voice boxes.
Yes.
So for $200, he had not had one. And so for $200, he had a head and neck surgery, so he had no ability to speak. And for $200, I was able to order a voice box for him, take it to his house last night, and actually drop it off and listen to him learn how to use it. He wasn't perfect when he was doing it, but he was able to say thank you, and he mouthed the words. He was so appreciative, and so it was just so neat to be able to do that for him.
Oh, Tammy, the things that you do are just amazing, and that kind of outreach, and it is. Sometimes the little things are very big. That's given him back a great portion of his life.
Absolutely.
I always remember this story also, very simple. A woman who had cancer later in life, I believe it was breast cancer, which I know we'll talk about. She didn't want to leave her home.
Right.
She was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
She didn't want to go anywhere. She was just despondent. And that's not unusual to become depressed when you're undergoing these treatments or afterwards. But it turned out the reason she didn't want to leave is because she was so embarrassed of her bald head.
Right.
You fixed her up, and I say you,
CAGNO.
with a wig. The world of difference. This woman regained her self-esteem, her ability to want to get up, to want to get out, to want to get moving, visit with people, go do her own grocery shopping again. A wig. And you gave her back a life.
We just had that happen recently again. We had a lady that had a mastectomy, and her prosthesis was old. It was 20 years old. And so unbeknownst to her granddaughter, she was not leaving the house. And then she found out why she wasn't leaving the house, because because she felt uncomfortable. And they called us. She came to the office a few months ago. We fixed her up, and she was so happy when she left. So just that prosthetic and a new bra, and she was happy, able to go out to church and do those things that she normally would do.
And this is something that a lot of people just don't think about.
No.
Now, we're talking about those who can't afford it, but those who are fortunate enough, and I'll say knock on wood as I hit my head here, no, but do have insurance or the opportunity to go to the marketplace, whatever it might be, to be sure they're insured. They might have a little bit more money. They can come and purchase things as well, can't they? Or you can guide them on where to go?
We could guide them. We really don't have items to most all of our items are donated, so
Okay.
prosthesis. But even sometimes people, when they have insurance, coming up with an extra couple $100 for a prosthetic or a wig, something that they might not even not use for very long, and then they end up donating it back.
And it's great. So someone else gets to have the opportunity.
Now we do the only few things we have to purchase. We do have our books, The Many Faces of Breast Cancer. Those are $7, and those were actually written by women in the New Orleans area who went through their breast cancer treatment. So it's a really neat book for anyone going through breast cancer.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because there are so many different kinds of cancer, but one of those that's been in the forefront here, and I know that you've been involved with, is restoration.
Restoration.
Let's talk about that. Please let the people know if they haven't heard about it.
Wonderful program. It was really started by 3 women, Kim Sport, Eve Wallinga, and Sandy Keller. Sandy Keller and Eve live out of state, but they all met through Reconstruction down on St. Charles, and they decided to really start the program to make sure women were informed of all their choices. So many times women will have mastectomies after they're diagnosed with breast cancer and they won't follow through with reconstruction because they're not aware of their options. And so Kim Sport was really I don't even know the word I want to use, is just stupendous in getting the laws passed, make sure doctors are required to inform women of all their choices so they know what they can do after they have a mastectomy.
And is it under Louisiana law that they can have reconstructive surgery?
Yeah, if your insurance pays for the mastectomy, then your insurance is to also help you with reconstruction. Now, there's little loopholes I found out in some insurance companies, but majority of them, and women don't know that. And it's sad because we've had women say that, the women that have come to the program, we just had recently a woman from out of state, and that's another part of the program. Anyone in the country can come, use the restoration funds as long as they come have the reconstruction here in the state of Louisiana. So we have up to $5,000 as a grant that they can apply for that will help pay for child care, lost wages, rent or mortgage, travel expenses. We helped a woman last year after one of the storms. The storm had knocked out her hospital, and her doctor wanted to keep her on track with her reconstruction. So she traveled from Atlanta to Louisiana to have her reconstruction. So we helped her out with her travel expenses. We helped a woman in Iowa whose doctor years ago had said, "Oh, well, I have reconstruction. You're 50, you don't need it."
Oh, my goodness.
And she spent probably 5 or 6 years depressed because she had not had reconstruction, found out about the restoration program, applied, and now she's actually trying to come back for her third and final part of the surgery. So she's almost done.
See, that's absolutely
I
amazing
love
to
it.
me. And I have to put in another kudo for Kim Sport because we share something in common to the extent that Kim Sport we both love and has helped our organization so much. She is the past campaign chair and chair of the board for United Way of Southeast Louisiana. And you want to meet a dynamic woman, and she does not take no for an answer.
No.
And when she believes in something, she gives it her all. And she's done that for CAGNO and for Restoration. She's done that for United Way. And got to put a little plug. She's leading our public policy group right now, our first ever public policy committee for our Board of Trustees. And they're doing things in the legislature around domestic violence and other things. So always looking at women's issues. And I think that's really great.
She is just such she's in the forefront for anything dealing with women and women's health and getting information out there, making sure people are taken care of.
And that's the key. That, again, because so much of what you do, and that's why I was teasing you before when I said, do you ever sleep? It seems you're everywhere. But it's the education, it's the information, it's getting it out there. And you're everywhere. You're in schools, you go to speak at different organizations. Talk about some of the things that you do.
We
and
do.
I want to hear about the tar jar.
Our tar jar. I love our tar jar.
I do too.
I learned about the tar jar probably 15 years ago. And what it is it represents for somebody who smokes a pack of cigarettes every day for an entire year, it's the amount of tar that your lungs have to filter out. It ends up being about a quart. So if you want to look at your syrup jar, it's about a quart. That's the amount of tar that your lungs have to filter out in a year's time. Now, not all of the tar stays in your lungs. It does get filtered out and it does get coughed up, but a good amount does stay in the lungs.
And folks, it is frightening. I remember the first time I saw it. It does. It looks like about a can of Steen syrup or some Quaker State motor oil you pour it into a glass. And it's just, for shock value. And I know that you take it to schools and things to really have kids look at a visual impact.
Right.
And as a former smoker, I have not smoked, I'm proud to say, I've lost track of how many years. But when I was younger, it was the cool thing. And especially when you're one of the few women in the newsroom, boy, everybody, lit up a cigarette, want to be one of the guys. And we were tough and whatever. And Lord knows what I was doing to my body at that time.
But it's still the same.
Yeah.
Students and teenagers are still picking up for the same reasons. There's a really good commercials out now about teens in control. So the commercials out now are showing like when the cigarette, it's a little guy and it says, the cigarette says, when I say it's time to go outside and smoke, it's time to go outside and smoke.
I've seen that.
And so it's not so much, the money, the health issues down the road. A lot of teens don't think about that 50 years down the road, but it's the control. What is controlling me right now? And right now that cigarette's controlling them. So we use the tar jar. We have, and it's we have actually used pig lungs, so we can actually take lungs out to show the kid.
I remember that too.
Yes, we have the hairy ong. We have Mr. Gross Mouth. So we go into schools. Ashley did a presentation last Friday at one of the schools. I'm getting ready to start a group at Southeastern University, smoking cessation. All the universities in the state are going tobacco free. There's some issue between smoke free and tobacco free because tobacco free also includes chewing tobacco. But smoke free will just be cigarettes, cigars. So those are all going to be happening in the fall, where all of our state-run universities will be smoke free.
And that means nowhere on campus.
They're not supposed to smoke anywhere on campus.
Look how things have changed.
It absolutely
it's
has.
just really come about. But also, I'm thinking about a little bit cyclical for a while there when the messages were first coming out. And I still remember when they first put the warning on the package, cancer kills, this kind of thing. And for a while there, it seemed like a lot of inroads had been made. People were stopping.
Right.
All of a sudden, again, now you see the younger generation, as you're talking about, coming back because it's kind of fashionable again.
Right.
So, goodness gracious, how does that happen? It's
I think
part of the culture.
Part of the culture, I think,
just
is education. It's waning because if you're not on the forefront all the time, then people aren't hearing the message. And now we're having issues with electronic cigarettes in schools. And what's happening is there's no state law with age. Some laws I just saw where Ohio is making a state law. It's 18. You have to be 18 to use an electronic cigarette. But what's happening now is kids are able to buy electronic cigarettes, and then they can become addicted to the nicotine, and then they move on to cigarettes. So in a sense, it's like the gateway for cigarettes. And now that the tobacco companies all own these electronic cigarette
that's
companies.
what I think is interesting.
Yeah. It used to be owned by other small companies, but from my understanding, what I've read, most all of the electronic cigarette companies are now owned by the big tobacco companies.
So they're investing in their future in such that as you're trying, as nationally and globally, we try to get rid of tobacco smoke.
Right.
Now they're looking at
the
electronic
cigarettes.
which has
electronic cigarettes. There's not,
okay.
the research isn't out there as much, but for me, I can never recommend it because it's not FDA approved. I do know people use it to quit, but I've also known people who use it and are still using it a year later. So, they haven't quit on it. The other issue with electronic cigarettes, and this is just for parents to be aware of, is it vaporizes, basically it's a vapor. And so sometimes students are actually using marijuana or THC oil in it, and there's no smell. So parents, be very aware if your kids are getting electronic cigarettes. This is sometimes what they're using them for.
You talked about the chewing tobacco. That seems something that's just so old school that no one chews tobacco anymore. And yet I was surprised to find out how many people still do. And that is an oral cancer. Can
Absolutely.
be even worse
Absolutely.
than cigarettes, can't it?
And then a lot of times with the chewing tobacco, people don't realize that they actually do have a grit in it that actually creates lesions in the mouth to better absorb the nicotine. And the difference between cigarettes, cigars, and chewing tobacco, they're all made out of the same plant, basically. They use different parts of it. It's cured different. There's different pH values. pH value of the chewing tobacco is different than a cigarette because it's going to be absorbed in the lungs versus in the mouth. So you really don't think about that. And I've had kids say, well, if I get cancer of the tongue, I'll just have them cut that part out. So a lot of times they're not thinking about the future, and then when it happens, it's devastating to people because they never thought it would happen to them.
I was say it's a little bit of youthful bravado.
Yes.
that somehow
Yes.
I'm stronger than everything.
I'm stronger than everything. But really, people don't think about it. Even if you pick up a tobacco leaf, if you even pick up the tobacco leaf, nicotine absorbs through your skin. That's why people even pick it in the farms. They have to wear long sleeves and gloves because they can actually have so much nicotine absorbed through their skin it can mimic a heart attack in a sense because there's too much nicotine.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the cessation because I've been reading some things in the news lately and hearing about what's going on with it's a fund. It's smoking.
The trust? Yes,
sure. Because I'd heard about it when it first came out. It was established. Now there's some other changes going on, I believe. And now what's the latest?
From what I understand with the fund, it's interesting. The Tobacco Cessation Trust was actually initiated from the Gloria Scott case back in the 1990s. Her family sued the tobacco company, finally settled a few years ago, and the state of Louisiana had over $1 billion to spend towards smoking cessation aids, the medications such as Chantix, Wellbutrin, or nicotine replacement therapies, and cessation groups. So they will actually reimburse patients for quitting smoking. So there's really no better time in the history of Louisiana to quit smoking because if you're age 34 or older, basically they say you had to start smoking by 1988, which would put you about 10 or 11. Now, I do have some patients, though, that start smoking at 6 and 7. Ooh. So if you can validate that reason that you did start smoking at 6 or 7 in 1988, then you can also apply for the trust.
Now, how do you apply? Do you go through CAGNO, your doctor?
From what I understand, they've been traveling. Mike Rogers, he's one of the guys in charge there. He travels to all of the hospitals, so I know all of the big hospitals know about it. We have it on our website. You can go to our website and apply for it. You can click on the link for the trust, and it pulls up the application.
Give that address, will you?
It's very simple. It's just www.cagno.org. So it's just cagno.org. If you Google Cancer Association of Greater New Orleans, that would come up also. I think I also have it on our Facebook page, so I try to put that out.
You're trying to get the word out everywhere,
yeah.
Every means possible.
Yeah, part of the trust, one of the things that they're not allowed to do is they're not allowed to put any money towards advertisement. And so it's up to us and newspapers and everyone else to get that information out there. So we have it at health fairs. I pass it out to anybody who'll listen to me.
What about in terms of when you go to schools or other organizations, what do they want to know about most? And I know that there has been, now the schools, young women can talk, and it's kind of swinging back here, but about breast cancer and just trying to get people to be able to be comfortable enough with their bodies.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do.
To sense when something's going wrong.
All the schools are different. Right now we do have a program where we go into all the schools, and Jefferson Parish is really good at calling us for that. We go into the schools and speak to the juniors in high school about breast self-examination, cervical cancer, HPV virus. And so all those things are very important. The vaccination, talking to girls about becoming vaccinated, it's just protecting yourself for down the road. Because if you're vaccinated against HPV, you're almost 99% likely you will never get cervical cancer, which is just amazing that they can now take care of a cancer just with a vaccination. Breast cancer awareness, the cervical cancer, tobacco prevention. A lot of schools are calling us for the younger kids for tobacco prevention. I used to be shocked when I'd see, third graders smoking, but I've had some first graders that have actually picked up a cigarette.
Oh, I can't believe
They'll
that.
pick it up, their parents, they'll pick it on the way to school, they pick up cigarette butts. And so, these kids, if there's a little bit left to smoke on it, they'll pick it up and light it. So it's just getting the information out there. And, and a lot of times when children are younger, they just don't realize the dangers about it. They don't realize what's happening. Ashley, our health educator, was called not too long ago for a school in St. Tammany Parish for electronic cigarettes. Because electronic cigarettes, more and more students are starting to smoke electronic cigarettes.
And that's what you were just talking about, and they can become addictive because of the nicotine that's been added.
Right. Tonight, last week, I'm sorry, I did got confused on my days. You're right, I am a little too busy. Last Tuesday, I did a presentation to Auctioner for stress management for the breast cancer group. So that was a really funny little...
Now talk about that, because I hear not only in association with cigarettes, but if you're also stressed, I need a cigarette. Okay, heard that for years. But now more and more as we read, it's trying to determine what kind of role or what role stress plays on your body. And it really, they're saying, can lead to different cancers, high blood pressure, all different sorts of problems.
With stress, it's just so many things go on with stress, because when you're under stress, you tend to not take care of yourself. And with cigarettes, I'll just say briefly with cigarettes, because when teenagers start smoking, that's normally when people start smoking, there's two things teens are learning: how to be bored and how to be stressed, and how to handle your stress. So what happens is when they pick up smoking as a teen, when they're bored, they smoke. When they're stressed, they smoke. So as you grow older as an adult, when you think about trying to quit smoking, it's not the nicotine, it's not that physical addiction, it's the habit. When you're smoking a pack a day, you bring that cigarette to your lips anywhere between 70 and 100,000 times a year. So it's ingrained in everything that you do. When you get up in the morning, when you go to bed, when you eat, when you drink your coffee, when you get upset, when you're happy, when you're glad, all those things. When you're celebrating, every single thing you do, cigarettes involved in that. So quitting smoking as an adult, that's one of those things you have to learn is, how do I handle being happy? How do I handle being sad? How do I handle being frustrated? Well, in traffic and it's raining and, all these things are going on. The other part about stress is over the years, we've just learned that stress, people say, I want to get rid of my stress. So you have to have stress in your life. If we had no stress in our lives will be absolutely boring. And so what happens with stress is stress actually gives us something to go for. We get excited at football games and basketball games, and we've got two teams, our Pelicans and our Saints down here. So, we've got our teams that are exciting. People get married, and we have all those excitements. And we have sad things too. People lose their job, or their car breaks down, or we have family loss, but all that's part of life, and it's learning how to deal with that. The basic definition for stress is the rate of wear and tear on the body. And what happens is, when we're under stress, our immune system gets depleted. We can't fight off disease, maybe diabetes, arthritis. Maybe it does. We're smoking, or we're doing some other thing that can actually allow our body to those cells to change and maybe mutate to cancer. And then
I'm going to say there's no direct correlation, but it could exacerbate perhaps a pre-existing condition.
And the other part is that we don't take care of ourselves when we're under stress. When we're stressed, we don't go to the doctor like we should. We may not eat properly like we should. We may not eat our fruits and vegetables. And, Louisiana, we've got great food, and we've got a lot of good fruits and vegetables. And it's just so important for us to get that fruit and vegetable in our diet. Now, don't go out tomorrow and, just start with all the fruits and vegetables if you've not been a big fruit and vegetable eater, because your stomach will not be very happy. But you just kind of want to incorporate those in very slowly. If you're not a big salad eater, maybe once a week add a salad to your diet. Lots of good fruits and vegetables.
But you hit on something that I think we all, or many of us, let's just say, regret. We don't follow through with making that doctor's appointment. They'll wait till something's wrong. Oh, well, I'm feeling this. And until it becomes such a major pain, literally or figuratively, and then someone decides, oh, well, I'll go to the doctor and check it out. And we have also spoken about this before, that, sorry, guys, it's often men who are more reluctant to take the time or make the time to go and see the doctor. And prevention, that annual checkup can mean so much to your future health. And we are talking about cancer.
Oh, it can, and so many things. Like when you're looking at cancer, about a third of all cancers are really smoking related. About a third of all cancers are nutrition and exercise related. And you've got a third of cancers that are environmental, viruses, genetics are in there. 10% about are genetics. So you've got so many things that you can do to prevent that by not smoking, by eating healthy. There's a lot of things we're hearing about charring meat. Charring meat is, for some people, can be cancer. It's called a chemical. I love the word. It's called heterocyclic amines.
It's called a Pittsburgh or something. Your steak and you just blacken the
yes.
out of it on the outside, and the inside is just rare.
But for some people, their body can't metabolize that chard, because what happens is the fat strip off, they change to these heterocyclic amines, come back onto the meat, and then we eat them. For most of the people, they're fine. But for some, their bodies aren't able to metabolize it. So if you just put it in tinfoil on your grill, you cut that risk. So there's so many little things, but most of us, we don't know, what our bodies or what our genetics are, but do look at your family. 10% of all cancers are genetic. But when you look at breast cancer, almost 90% of all breast cancers have no family ties. And so women will say, well, nobody in my family's ever had breast cancer. I don't need to go have a mammogram. And the reality of it is 90% of all breast cancers don't. But there are some things to look at. that kind of say, it kind of spells out the word caution in a sense. But if you have any unusual bleeding or discharge, go to the doctor and have that checked out. If you have a lump or thickening anywhere on your body, go to the doctor and talk to them about that. A sore that does not heal. A lot of times people don't think about that, but even as we age, sores don't heal as fast. But if you have a sore that's not healing, go to the doctor and have that checked out. Any unexplained weight loss. I know people are very happy sometimes when they lose weight, but if you're losing weight and you're not exercising,
and too rapidly,
go let the doctor know about that. Persistent change in your bowel or bladder habits, hoarseness or a cough that doesn't go away, change in a wart or mole on your skin. You want to have that checked out. If it's not that nice little round mole that you've seen all your life and all of a sudden it changes diameter or height or color, have that checked out. And persistent indigestion and difficulty swallowing. Those are all things that really, if you have those for any length of time, just mention that to your doctor the next time you go.
Because it could turn out to be any other kind of ailment.
Oh, absolutely.
But still, treatment, you'll feel better.
Right.
And again, maybe hopefully prevent something from happening. But you mentioned something, you were talking about the moles. Skin cancer can be, unfortunately, there are a lot of cases in our area because we're bright, sunny most of the time. People like to get outside. We're a sportsman's paradise. And I've known many people, unfortunately, who have had skin cancer.
And skin cancers, there's three kinds. There's squamous cell, basal cell, and malignant melanoma. Squamous cell tends to not spread, tends to stay in the same spot. They can get larger, but it doesn't go deep into the skin. Those the dermatologist can go take out, they can remove. Sometimes you'll see people with a little divot in their face where they've been taken out. Basal cell can be spreading. So basal cell takes a little longer, but it can spread, so it can be a little more dangerous to deal with. Malignant melanoma, that is the one that, and I've always read this, and I would say don't quote me on it, but I've always read that by the time malignant melanoma reaches the size of a pencil eraser, there's more than 1 billion cells in it. So it's already started to spread. But what we're finding now is, and they need to do some research on it, is tanning beds. They're out there tanning, and that's anything. Any skin cancer is the amount of sun you're getting, the intensity and the duration of the sun, the amount of sunburns that you've gotten. So anytime you've had these intense sunburns, you probably down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, you're going to see things on your face or your nose, your ears. And, if you're out there working construction, you don't have a shirt on, you're burning, you're tanning. And people think that tanning's great, which, I know that's
but you're damaging your skin.
You're damaging your skin.
So sunscreen.
Yes. And these tanning beds they're looking at now, most cancers can take 15, 20 years to develop. So if you're tanning as a teen, early 20s, you may see it earlier because they're finding younger and younger women with melanomas, and those are the deadly melanomas.
All right, Tammy, we have just a couple more minutes, but before we go, let's talk about a couple things. I know that we have 5 predominant cancers in our area, but also somebody who's out there is trying to help you as well as United Way of Southeast Louisiana, and that is to raise funds to combat cancer.
They do. For the last couple of years, a really lovely group, Sandra Dardis and Diane Lyons with Festigals, has been doing an event in the summers called Festigals. They do bodacious bras for a cause, and the last few years they've actually donated almost $40,000 to our organization to help women with breast cancer. And this year's event is June 19th through the 22nd. So it's a great diva weekend for women to come down to New Orleans to have fun, to have a weekend of just seminars and experiencing, what it's like to be a woman in New Orleans and do your fashion diva sense. The event with the luncheon is a wonderful event. They have these wonderful bras that are made by artists all over the country that come in.
And celebrities.
Absolutely. Local artists, celebrities that come in and decorate these beautiful bras. I would love to have had some last year, but they went a little over my budget. But they were great. They were absolutely wonderful. And these women just do a phenomenal job for the weekend. So if you're looking for a great weekend, Festigals in June is your place to be.
And if you want more information about Festigals and about CAGNO, where do you go?
You can go to our website, www.cagno.org. You can Google Festigals. Festigals actually has their own website. You can go to that website. You can call us at 504-733-5539.
Thank you so much. Tammy Swindle, Executive Director of the Cancer Association of Greater New Orleans. I'm Terry Westerfield, and for United Way, live united.